Welcome to the Gîte Podcast, the show that takes you behind the scenes at a gîte. Each episode we share real stories, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. And for this episode we are with Paul and Fiona from Le Chais Villa, which is nestled between the vineyards of Bergerac. They were clients of ours last year, and they are now in their second season of accepting guests, having spent many years renovating the property that they fell in love with as they were going past on their motorbikes on holiday once. And motorbikes is one of the things that they have included in their offering to share their passion with some of their guests as well. I think they're also really interesting because they're so proactive when it comes to marketing. You'll hear more about that in the episode. So enjoy!
Welcome to the Gîte Podcast. Brought to you by Gîte Guru.
So today we are sitting outside the lovely Le Chais Villa in the Dordogne, about 45 minutes from where we live, with our wonderful clients, Paul and Fee. Now, the first time I came here, Paul opened the door and said, "I'm going to forget your name." Do you remember? He said, I'm really, really bad with names. But what makes it impossible for me is that their surname is actually a Christian name. And so whenever I get emails, it says James, Paul and Fiona. And I haven't actually got your name wrong yet. I haven't called you James. And you haven't called me anything but Rupert. So we've done all right.
We've done okay. I get called James an awful lot.
So we are in the middle of the kind of wine producing area of Bergerac, and a stunning place. This building used to be where wine was produced, hence the name Chais. You have not only set up a gîte, but you have incorporated both of your passions, or two of your passions that you share, into your gîte. And I think that's what makes you really interesting. So one is motorbikes and one is massage. So let's talk about motorbikes first.
We were here on holiday, just passing through on the bike, and we saw a board for sale sign outside the gîte. And so we looked at it and thought, oh, that's interesting. Wouldn't mind having a look at that. So a bit later on, I think 2 days went by or something like that. And then we came back and rang the telephone number that was on the board. And it happened to be the chap that lived next door. The grandson came out, who, by the way, had really good English, which was great for us because we didn't have much French.
And when was this?
This was in 2014.
So 11 years ago, you pre-Brexit.
Pre-Brexit, yeah, definitely.
And you saw the place and thought, this is where I want to park my bike.
Well, he showed us round, and I just looked at it and I said, the potential here to turn this into a gîte and we could do guided bike tours. Yeah. And Fee was in agreement. So we just had to rush back to UK and make sure we could get the finances up together to buy it.
Yeah.
Because we probably owned it for 12 months before we came, didn't we?
So you literally saw it, fell in love, thought there's so much we can do here.
So much potential.
Bought it, finished up in the UK, took you a year, and then moved out. And what was it like when you moved here?
It was great, actually, because the pressure had gone. I was a builder in the UK. I had my own business. Fee was a manager at the college in Gloucester. We were like ships in the night. So the only time we really saw each other, was when we were out biking in Europe. I'm not spring chicken anymore, so I knew I needed to do something to make our lives more quality for the lives. So we saw this, and I just said, I can do this. We can change this, and we can make it into a gîte, and then we can encourage people on motorbikes to come and stay, because that's my passion, and Fee's passion too, because she has her own motorcycle too, a BMW. We just thought it was a good way that we could change our lifestyles and make it better, and it has. Brilliant.
And Fee, what was the building like?
It was quite derelict. They lived quite a basic life. I mean, it wasn't lived in. The grandfather of Adrian that we saw, he moved out in 1989. So it was last lived in 1989.
So 15 years before you saw it.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Mud floor at the back, very dark and dim, full of cobwebs and spiders.
Because this is the gîte. The bit to my right is the gîte. But you live next door, which is... are you still not in there?
When we open up ready for the spring, we move back into what we call the Wendy house, which is 20 square meters. So there's just the two of us. You've got to be very tidy.
And that's in your garden. So we've got the gîte here with their swimming pool and their garden. Then you've got a second dwelling which isn't finished yet, but is where you store all your stuff, personal stuff. So that's attached, as it were. And then in that garden, you've got the Wendy house where you live. How many months of the year?
From about April till October.
And we lived in that for 7 years while we were doing all the renovation.
Well, you're used to it then.
And we have a swimming pool too.
Oh, fantastic. You've got 2 swimming pools. Brilliant. One for the guests and one for you. And so you saw this 2-bedroom cow shed and 1 room and have transformed it into 6 bedrooms, all en suite. Yep. 2 of them are downstairs, aren't they?
2 bedrooms downstairs, 4 bedrooms upstairs. There's a utility and a bathroom downstairs beyond the kitchen. We got a huge kitchen, fully equipped. Dining room area just here as well, opposite me.
Yeah.
There's plenty of space there for big groups.
And I don't know if you can see behind me, if I move over there, the green there are vines. So there's literally wine made on your doorstep.
We're completely surrounded by the vines, which is really nice. And then you can just walk anywhere in between the vines as long as you're not causing any damage. Nobody really worries. So it's fantastic. But the views from the top, everything we dug out for the pool and out of this area here is a big mound of earth at the top. Yeah, and we've grassed it over and I now mow it. And we've got a nice seating area up there and you can just sit and look at the views over Bergerac. It's fantastic. Really beautiful. Really beautiful.
So you saw this place, you moved out here 12 months later and you decided to do the work yourselves.
Well, to start off with, it took us 12 months to get our planning permission. Because,
really? 12 months? Why did that take so long?
Because initially we put in our own application because you can't do that here in France. We went to the planning office at Bergerac, and every time the lady in the office would say, if you do this to your plans, change it slightly, come back, I'll pass it. We tried that 3 times. So in the end, we gave up and we thought we just need to employ a French architect who A, knows the system, B, knows the language. And so he came back with an amazing design for us, which we hadn't even considered, because originally the whole roof line was one level, was the same roof line all the way through. And we've actually changed it to incorporate bedrooms upstairs. So we've had to heighten the roof. So he said, we looked at the drawings and said, how is she going to pass that? And he said, it's traditional, it's fine.
But that's his job, I suppose, to come up with plans that will be accepted.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was the best money we ever spent.
And did they pass it, his plans, immediately?
Yeah, he managed to get us planning permission for the Wendy house. So we had somewhere to live because we've lived in renovations in the UK when we've done renovations.
Dust, filth, dust in the cornflakes, dust in the hair. Well, it was such a big job. And because it's my trade, I realised that it was going to take 3 or 4 years to get complete, hopefully. But then along the way, I've had 2 rotator cuff operations, hernia, and a few other bits and pieces. So I've probably missed out 2 years of work since we've been here. So it's actually taken us about 6 years to do in physical graft. That's just the gîte. Well, we've seen quite a lot of gîtes in France and like old farm style gîtes, old farm houses, and people love it and it's very romantic. But they're a nightmare to keep clean because of all the dust and the stone. We said we just need it so it's simple because there's 2 of us to clean 6 bedrooms and get it ready for a changeover.
Yeah.
So we just wanted something simple, but also very clean and efficient. So the insulation in there is immense. There's no underfloor heating, but it's warm all the time because it's stone. Yeah. So the stone absorbs the heat. And the attics are highly insulated as well. And we have the solar panels.
When we renovated our place, we had somebody helping us who also said, you've got to consider the cleaning of the Gîte for changeover days. You've got those 6 hours in between. You've really got to think through how to make the cleaning, how to design the house to make cleaning
We've tried
efficient.
to make it as easy to clean as possible.
To actually build a wall randomly without coursing is really difficult. Keep coursing all the time and you've got to keep going, no, we're not, I don't want it coursed.
And for those of us who don't actually understand what you're talking about, what is coursing?
Coursing is where you just follow your line and you'd have a nice level course of stonework with the odd big stone in there and then you just come in level to that.
Okay.
So everything would be uniform.
Yep.
But with this, it's just pick that stone up, chuck it in there. Pick that stone up, chuck it in there, and that's it.
And once you started the build and you'd got permission to do this, how involved were the planning permission people in checking what you'd done?
Not at all. But everything that we done here inside was, as the architect said, it's up to you. But I'm a big one for researching all the rules and regulations. So everything that I've done, I hope, conforms with French legislation.
And did the architect help you once the planning had been given?
Once it's done, it's done.
That was it. Yeah, it was the same with us. We literally got an architect to do the drawings, submit all the paperwork, and then we never heard from him again.
We did have a gentleman come one day with his GPS measuring tool and a tape measure, and he measured the outside of the building and everything to make sure that we hadn't gone any bigger than what was already on the plans. They didn't seem to worry about any of the work that we done inside or the layout that we put in. It really
just the footprint.
Yeah, just the footprint.
You really didn't have to declare or register that much. So you had to do planning permission. You didn't have to get permission to live here because it was pre-Brexit.
We still had to jump through hoops, and we still had to jump through hoops now. We've still got to prove we can support ourselves.
And when did you have to do that? Was that when you had to apply post-Brexit for your residency card, your carte de séjour? That was when you had to prove that you were self-sufficient.
Nothing else in France, when they do the tax and everything at the end of the year, they're not interested in what you got in the bank, only what interest you might have on your money. The only time we had to prove the money that we had in savings was when we went for the carte séjour.
Yeah.
And that's up for renewal again soon, so we will have to prove that we can support ourselves again, which is one reason why that she's doing the massage therapy as well now, because it's another source of income, which says that whilst we're a little bit sort of on the ground getting us started with the Gîte and everything and the motorbike tours, it's an income which can show that we can support ourselves.
Once Brexit had gone through, you had to apply for your carte de séjour. You got it without any problems. You had to provide lots of info, but you did get them. And how long did that last for? Was it a year or 5?
5-year one.
You got 5 years. Brilliant.
We'd been here for quite a while before that came into play.
Yeah.
So we actually, I think officially we probably should have been entitled to a 10-year carte de séjour because we'd already been here for 5 years. But I think looking back at it now, because we didn't have an income at that time, we had savings in the bank which would support ourselves. We didn't have an income. And I think they were just being a little bit cautious. They will give you a 5-year card. Renew it in 5 years, and then we'll see where we go. So, which is why it's really important for us to be earning an income.
I think this time now, because we are actually earning money as well, we still have money in the bank, because the reason we haven't done our side yet is because of my fear of them saying you got 30 days to get out. So we've kept a reasonable amount in the bank.
Yep.
And I don't want to use that money doing our side up until I know we got a reasonable income coming in that they go, well, you can support yourself. Maybe we can use our money in the bank. So,
and you're saying that you want to stay in France. So even with your health problems that you've had and spending the whole time in dust renovating this beautiful place, it's still worth it all.
What's not to love?
You look around you, and I know we're sat down on the patio here now, but when you stand up and you look at the view around you, the beautiful sunshine, and it's not always beautiful sunshine, but even when it rains, it's still nice.
Yeah.
The way of life is just so much more relaxed. And I know there's a lot of factors there, because if I was in UK and I wasn't working anymore and I was doing the things I wanted to do, I'd be more relaxed.
Yeah.
But to be here in France where life in general is more relaxed, we go down the road and you walk past a person that you haven't ever met before and they always say bonjour.
Yeah.
And you just think,
yeah, but you talk to anyone and everyone, don't you?
Actually, yeah.
I know enough about you.
I am
For our French neighbour, we go there for apéros and evening meals, and he calls it Monsieur Blah Blah.
Or as the French would say, je suis bavard.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that is what I didn't say at the beginning, is when you opened the door and said, I'm going to forget your name, you also said, and I talk for England, and you're going to have to tell me to shut up at some point.
Yeah.
Which, again, I haven't done yet, so it's very good.
But I have a good training since we've had the new Life in the Sun cameras here. I've been trained really well. So.
Well, just go back, because there are two things I just want to explain. You mentioned apéros.
Yes.
For, say, American people listening who don't know what you're talking about.
I would classify apéros as a little bit like tapas in Spain. So it's a lot. You go to somebody's house, and it can be There's two different types, as I understand it. So you just got your normal aperos, where you go maybe 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and you have maybe a glass of rica or a glass of whiskey or some kind of aperitif. And very often just small plates of picky food,
Snacky bits.
snacky bits, which I absolutely love. But then you've also got dinner time aperos. So you go maybe later in the evening, maybe 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, and again, drinks. It would just, the food would just keep coming. So you'd have lots of little snacky, nibbly bits, and you just sit,
Coming one after another.
just sit and chat and drink and talk and laugh. And it's absolutely, I absolutely love it.
And then the other thing you just mentioned is A New Life in the Sun. So for the people who have never watched this TV program, explain about it.
New Life in the Sun is Channel 4. Basically, anyone that leaves the UK and heads for a European country to change their life is what they're following.
Yeah. And a lot of them set up businesses. It's not really people retiring.
Not really. It's people that are trying to make life in a different country, if you like.
Your episodes were aired earlier this year.
Yes.
And what kind of reaction did you get? Because there are hundreds of thousands of people watching each episode, and it's repeated on different channels. So it's putting you in a shop window that
I was sitting there as the program was being aired and looking at our stats on our website, and they were skyrocketing. The best day for us obviously was the last day, which was the Friday. We were lucky to be on all 5 episodes that particular week.
Monday, Tuesday, we had 350 people visiting the websites. Wednesday, for some reason, it spiked to 850. Thursday, it dropped back down around the 400. And then on the Friday, it was 1,850 people.
really,
Which is amazing.
God.
We have had bookings from it. We've got 2 bookings for next year from the program. But what I will say is, send us an email, send us a messenger, WhatsApp message, just to say what a fantastic job you've done. Really, you can see really quality. We're not interested in booking a holiday because there's just the 2 of us, but just wanted to reach out to congratulations, guys.
Yeah.
Well done. And for us, that's such a biggie because we know how much work we've put into it. We know how much money we've spent on it. We wanted to make sure that every bedroom has its own bathroom. Because to us, when we go away on the motorbike, that's really important.
You don't want to be sharing.
You don't want to be traipsing down the corridor in the middle of the night and, when there's 6 of you to get ready to get on the motorbikes, So we were very conscious.
And that all came over in the show. So I think we were in a different show, but made by the same production company for the same TV channel. And there was nothing they showed of us that put us in a negative light. And there was quite a lot they filmed that could have put us in quite a negative light. Lots of swearing.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, one day we had a changeover. I just completely lost track of it. But I put plenty of bed linen. I haven't got to worry about bed linen, but it was all brand new. So I'd put it in the cupboard, in the packs, and just put it away and forgotten about it. So I came to do a changeover and everything needed ironing.
No.
So I'm now on changeover day.
Oh, but they must have loved that.
But they didn't show it. So yeah, I agree. They show you in
They do like a bit of drama, don't they?
Yeah, a deadline coming up.
I'm surprised they didn't show it because they'd have loved that kind of thing. But no, they didn't show it perhaps because I was too stressed.
So it has been a real bonus for you being in it, even though you kind of think, I'm going to be on television.
Well, originally I wasn't very keen, but it was my brother-in-law sent me a message, said, "Hey, they're taking on for New Life in the Sun. You ought to apply." And I'm like, "No, I don't want to go on there. What do I want to go on there for?" And he said, "But it's good advertising. It's free advertising."
Amazing, isn't it? It's quite hard work, though, isn't it? Because you have to come up with the storylines or when they should be coming to film you. You've got to think about what's interesting for them.
We were still doing, but the main thing for them was the fact that we were trying to organise motorcycle tours, and that was different.
And you're going to be on it again.
A New Life in the Sun, Where Are We Now?
Where Are We Now? Okay. So, and they've already filmed for that?
Yeah, they've done the filming in May, whilst we had a group called the Blue Knights Motorcycles here. And we also had the reporter from the Ride magazine here at the same time. So,
and how did you get him or her along?
Well, I saw her on the internet with the Ride magazine, and she put, "I just spent a day riding around in the rain today. Anybody else been out?" So I sent a message and I said, "Yeah, I've been out. but I'm in the Dordogne and the sun's beautiful. And she went, oh, you're so lucky. So I put, you should come and visit us because we do guided tours. So she got in touch and we sort of started talking by email. And she said, I'd love to do a story on you. So that was it. But we all know somebody who's got a motorcycle, you know? And that person probably knows half a dozen or more people with motorcycles.
So you've been on TV once already. You're going to be on TV again. You've got the Ride magazine article coming out. That hasn't come out yet.
Not yet. It's coming out.
You were in the Sunday Times.
Yeah. Thanks to you.
We got you in there along with another client of ours talking again about the motorbike. So actually all of this extra free publicity you've been getting is because you're not just doing a Gîte, you're doing the motorbikes on top. But when we first met, you explained about, I've never been on a motorbike in my life. I've been on a bicycle and I might have been on a Vespa in Rome when I was 18, but that's it. So I didn't really have a clue about it. And you explained what you've done to the property, first of all, to, like you were saying about having ensuite bathrooms for everyone, but you've done more than just that. You've really thought through what bikers want from a holiday home.
Obviously, if it rains, they need to dry their equipment. So we've got a drying room, which is actually the downstairs bathroom, but there's a rail above the bath so that wet clothes can drip into the bath. The parking in general is sorted out for the bikes, so security. So we've got CCTV cameras covering the parking all the time. It's concrete, so they can stand their bikes up and they're not going to fall over. They can lock their bikes up on the pad and know that they're quite secure here.
Yeah, fantastic. Sounds, no, I don't know where it is. Your workshop.
I have a workshop. I have a garage.
Somewhere over there.
And I have a garage down underneath the shay, and that is equipped out with some tools and equipment for anybody that needs to work on their bikes. No, I wouldn't say that it's all the equipment that you need. The kit's there. All they got to do is use it.
Yeah, but you did tell me that there was somebody here who needed to change a wheel,
change the tires.
Change tires, and you made one phone call and got it all arranged.
Yeah, we got a couple of local motorcycle dealerships with workshops which we deal with.
And that's a real kind of stress-free experience that people have got when they come here. They don't need to worry about things going wrong.
Between us, that's what we try to do, is to make it stress-free, isn't it? Me and Fiona, we go out on my bike, and we do the route on the computer, which then downloaded to the sat nav. Then we go out and ride the route.
Yeah.
Then we come back and put right the mistakes.
Yeah.
Then we go out and ride it again. But that opportunity gives us the opportunity to find restaurants and coffee stops, because when you've got groups of like 10, 12 people, you really need to pre-book before you get in.
Of course.
It's a big group to just drop in on a restaurant and expect to have lunch, you know.
And if you can get in there, you'll have to wait probably quite a long time.
So we do all that, and then I come back, and once it's finalised, it's all there ready to go. So what we do is we offer that I can take and guide you, in which case I do all the pre-booking of restaurants and stuff like that. And the routes are there, or I can download my routes from my sat nav to your sat nav, and you can do your own thing for the day. So it's up to you. But
so you were saying often when people go on motorbike holidays, they will stay at different places all the time, just travel from one to another. And what you're offering is a bit different. They haven't got to take their luggage with them every day.
Nope.
They come here, they unpack, they enjoy the pool and the Gîte, but then you have got routes for them to do every day if they want to.
I think at the moment I've got about 18 different routes they can do. We've got routes that take 5 hours. We've got routes that take 10 hours.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic roads, absolutely fabulous roads.
But explain then about the roads in the Dordogne, because I think this is, especially for English people who are used to just white vans on every single road they ride on. What's it like on the roads here?
Well, here the roads are much, much quieter. You haven't got the traffic. One thing you do have to be careful about is because we are in the countryside, big tractors, big equipment, machinery equipment. So you do need to be careful going around the corners and the bends, make sure you're safe. If you come and do one of our tours, you get to see the real France, because anybody can follow the main road, the D roads and the N roads, you know, but we actually go off piste, and it might take you, say, like Rockmador is 2 hours.
Yeah.
You know, from here is 2 hours if you stay on the main road.
Yeah. It'd be really boring.
But because I pick all the 8 round routes and I make a round robin tour of it, we're like 10 hours.
Past those hidden chateaux and the fun churches and
the Bastides.
Yeah.
Lots of fabulous old looking buildings and villages that you come through, you know, and some of the roads are quite technical. They're quite testing.
Really?
Oh yeah, because they're narrow
Yeah.
So not only are they narrow, they're very, very twisty, some of them.
Yeah.
And some of the hairpins come right back round on you, which has caused a couple of complications, but we get there.
Yeah.
But it's very, very interesting. It's much more interesting to do it that way.
But isn't it brilliant that you have incorporated your passion, both of your passion, into your business? And it really will help. You're getting publicity and happy guests that you wouldn't otherwise have. And what's the difference between a massage and massage therapy?
There's not. What I offer is a sports massage, which is a deep tissue massage or a relaxing massage, but there's lots of different types of massage. Eventually we came up with the option which we've got now, which is we've built our utility room, but obviously not put any units or anything, no washing machines or anything in it, and I use that
Brilliant.
for my therapy room. So also doing several chateaus locally to us offer yoga retreat. So I've got in contact with them and went yesterday to do 4 different massages for ladies on a yoga retreat.
And you then do it at their
So
location.
I went
You
to
go
them.
to them.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah, I went to them.
Well
And
done.
I really enjoy doing it,
Yeah.
especially when I can get my thumbs in. And
Don't upset her
What's
before
the
you get a
thing?
massage. I got a job to get a reservation.
Life is hard, isn't it? We're in June. When are we in? June 2025, and you have already got bookings for next year.
Yeah.
So that is really good.
So we're doing okay there.
You don't accept animals, which we don't either, but you have had an animal to stay.
We did, and it was an assistance dog, which we thought we couldn't refuse.
Yeah. There are certain types of animals that people can have, like a guide dog
Yeah.
for blind people, that you have to accept as a gîte owner. You can't turn those down. But actually, the dog that came to stay here wasn't a service dog in that it was
No.
helping somebody who needed that. It was an emotional support dog, which I think our dog is also my emotional support dog.
One of the problems that we got to deal with is that not everyone enjoys dogs or cats. The fur from the dogs can cause allergies, which we can't have in the gîte.
But it's completely your decision that actually since COVID, the amount of pets owned by people has gone up a lot. And Booking.com said it's after COVID that the searches on Booking.com for animal-friendly holidays had gone up 42% or something. So it is, by deciding not to accept pets, you are actually cutting out a massive chunk. So you thought you had to accept this animal. And what was the experience like? Were you?
Well, we had the experience. We asked that the dog was. They had a dog's bed, and we asked that the dog was not on the furniture, not in the beds, and not in the pool. So, but it became evident that the dog had been just about everywhere in the house.
Yeah.
This is their child, as far as they're concerned, and their child can do what their child wants. But that's not the situation for us.
Yeah.
And we decided that actually, rather than be in that situation again, we would just point blank refuse any animals. And we have lost, I know we've lost probably 4 or 5 weeks this year for not having animals. But I also need to consider the fact that the amount of time it takes to clean afterwards, because as much as they say their animals are clean.
But you could charge, well, a lot of people charge extra for pets and then use that money to get in another cleaner to ensure that the changeover isn't there. So there are ways of dealing with it. But we don't want pets either. But we have had quite a few just turn up, mostly from French people. I think it's unusual for Brits to actually go to the expense and hassle of bringing a dog to France post-Brexit without knowing that they're going to be welcome at the Gîte. We had a big bunny rabbit called Geronimo that was brought by this child who wouldn't let go of Geronimo. And anyway, they let it hop around the garden while there were these enormous birds of prey circling overhead. And this Geronimo lived on a balcony in an apartment in Lyon. And I did wonder whether he'd ever get back to his balcony after a stint in the countryside.
We've got a really nice balance of mixture between motorbike groups and families.
Yeah.
And when we've got a family group in, the best thing for me is actually hearing the kids in the pool.
Yeah.
I just absolutely love it because it makes everything that we've done so worthwhile.
Well, it just means that we got something right, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know?
Often the parents are worse than the kids. No, I'm not. I can't think of anyone in particular. And last year, you got classified, which means you got the Ministry of Tourism round to give yourself or your gîte a star rating, and you were awarded for stars.
I would say that was due to the excellent advice that we were given by some
Good.
really nice chaps.
We did talk to you at length about how many teaspoons you needed,
know,
and it really was, because there are 100, for people who don't know about this, there are 133 questions that the inspector will go through, and it is the most complicated calculation ever. They've got an iPad, haven't they, that they type everything in and it calculates how many stars you can get. But you prepared really well for it, and that did help you ensure that you could get 4 stars. And in the Dordogne, there are only 10% of the classified gîtes are 4 or 5 star. So you really are in the top 10%.
So all our costs of running for last year we covered. We still have to live up our savings for our egg and chips. But then this year we've got more bookings. We don't include the renovations into the cost of the running costs. I mean, when I say the running costs, I'm on about the electricity and the water.
What do you pay for electricity?
Electricity, we would pay
on
on
average
average
about 250 a month.
Yeah.
In the winter months when there's just 2 of us, sounds bizarre, but we tend to move back into the Gîte because actually it's cheaper to run than the Wendy house.
How funny.
Really weird because it's 220 square meters as opposed to 20 square meters, but it's highly insulated and we've got solar. The biggest outlay for us really is the heat pump for the pool.
And how easy has it been dividing the tasks between you?
We've kind of like got a list, but you generally you take on the marketing for the motorcycle tours, and I take on the marketing for the Gîte and the villa side of it. I do all the admin work. A lot of the maintenance stuff, obviously, you do because you're that way minded. I'm just like, this needs fixing, please fix it. Or I got a list of jobs to do that I can't do.
I'm good with my hands. I'm not too good with the paperwork.
You share a dream about what it is you want to achieve here.
Absolutely.
If there's a cleaning on the Saturday, or generally a Saturday when we do the
We have a
change,
system.
we've got a system.
And is it just the 2 of you?
Yeah,
How do you do it with 6 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms?
about 7 bathrooms.
Oh, yes, 7 bathrooms.
So you generally start upstairs and do all the bedrooms, bathrooms upstairs. I start in the kitchen.
Yeah, but it is the kind of place that you can really keep clean.
It's very easy, actually. And the biggest thing I find with it, and I am so pleased that we chose to do the inside white.
Yep.
Because
I agree.
suitcases, chocolate finger marks on the walls.
Shoe scuff marks on the walls.
Go around after we've cleaned it with the paintbrush and the
Yep.
pot, and I just paint them over. By the time the next
And you
twice,
never see the brush strokes
No.
the next day.
No.
if anybody was listening to this and they're thinking of doing the same thing, my biggest advice to them is to just stop and think about how you're going to maintain and keep planning.
Yeah.
Everything I've done is to be as minimal maintenance as possible.
Isn't that true of everything? That you take 5 minutes and sit back and think, how am I going to move to France? How am I going to set up the business? How am I going to maintain the property? How am I going to make it interesting for people to want to come here?
Not really true when we looked at buying this place. No, we just went, yeah, we love it. So
We're looking for
we
property.
weren't looking to buy
We're
anything.
on holiday.
But you have the skills to be able to do
Yeah.
it, to
Yeah.
turn it, and to transform
Yeah.
it into something else. And for people who haven't yet moved to France and started out, you've already given France the thumbs up.
Yeah.
What about running a gîte?
Yeah, I think it's a great way of life, really. I'm a very social person, really, I suppose. And as you know, I like to talk a lot. So it really suits me down to the ground.
Yeah.
It's been great meeting lots of different people. We've had a fab time doing that, haven't we?
Having purchased this place and renovated it, I would imagine that whatever you've spent on it, you're going to get back one day when you sell, but you're also generating money from it by renting it out.
Yeah, and that was always the big issue for me is we could have put the money into a pension scheme and then we probably would have got a reasonable pension out of it, but probably not enough to pay the luxury things in life. And for us, it was just like, okay, let's spend a few years renovating this. Let's turn it into something where we can actually generate an income.
Yeah.
And I think the potential for a really good income is here.
Yeah, I completely agree.
In collateral. And
You haven't lost anything.
Eventually, when I get to the point, I'm not far off now, I'm getting a bit old now and tired, but eventually...
You are much, much older than you look, aren't you? Because you haven't told me how old you are, and I was a bit taken aback.
But I mean, there's going to come a point...
It's not red now.
There's going to be a point where I want to retire, and then we'll just sell it and move to a smaller place, and then we got the benefits of what we put into everything. What more perfection can you get than that?
I completely agree.
We've really enjoyed doing it. We've still got lots to do yet for our side. As we earn more money, we will do that. Yeah. And then eventually, probably, I don't know, 10 years' time, or maybe a little bit less. 10 years' time, I'll be 74.
He's told us how old he's 64. You don't look it.
So that'll be...
You don't act it either, which is more important.
This is really true. No, so if I can generate another, I don't know, anywhere between 6 and 10 years out of and get an income over that period of time, and then we can sell it, and then we can retire properly.
Yeah, exactly. Brilliant. Well, good luck with being television stars, and for appearing in more publications and newspapers, and keep it going.
Well, we try.
Yeah, but you're doing brilliantly.
We're doing our best to get our name out there, aren't we?
And I wish you very many happy guests this summer. And look forward to following what happens at Le Chez Villa.
Yeah, that would be good.
Welcome to the Gîte Podcast. Brought to you by Gîte Guru.
I really enjoyed talking to Paul and Fiona again, having worked with them last year. They, like so many of us, have been on holiday in a part of France and either seen a for sale sign up next to a house, or they've looked in estate agent windows and got bitten by that bug. This is what happened to Frank and I as well. You see the value of the properties out here. You recognize that not only can you buy yourself a home, but you can also start up a business for relatively little money, depending on where you're coming from, but certainly from the UK or USA or the Netherlands like us. It really is an affordable country. There are parts of France which are really affordable. And you start thinking, those cogs in your brain start whirling, and you think, actually, we could be living a different kind of life. And that's exactly what Paul and Fiona have done. They've spent many years renovating their property. And if you see the before and after photos on the YouTube version of this podcast, you'll see exactly how much they've done. And that's just amazing what they've created. And I think for any of you starting out gîtes, if you can somehow create a unique selling point out of one of your passions that you can share with guests, then you're onto a winner. And that's exactly what Paul and Fiona have done, not only with motorbikes, but also with massages that Fiona offers. The motorbikes is really interesting because not only have they thought about exactly what facilities and services motorbike enthusiasts will want from a holiday property, but they've also come up with routes for them to travel on, to ride in the Dordogne, because normally bikers will go from one property to another, taking their luggage with them all the time. And what they're trying to do is offer something completely different, where you can actually stay in one place for a longer amount of time, unpack, and every day go out on a different route and see beautiful parts of France. They've also really proactive in their marketing. The fact that they've taken the plunge and been on a TV program, which they themselves says has offered them fantastic visibility. We agree. We're in a different TV program, but with the same production company and same channel on UK TV. And it's incredible the visibility it offers you. In fact, one of the episodes we were in was on Australian TV today. And I know that because we've had a surge of Australian followers on Instagram. And if I look at our Google Analytics for our website, I can see that over 100 people so far today have logged on to our website from Australia. So Paul and Fiona have set up something really fantastic, and they're working really hard at it. And I'm sure it will, but I really hope that it will become more and more successful. The first year of starting out is quite tricky because you don't have returning guests, you don't have reviews, you're not kind of in the Airbnb algorithm. So you have to have a lot of good luck. And I'm sure that as time goes on, their business will build and build and build. But I love talking to them. They're such good fun, and I can thoroughly recommend them as hosts. They're just so hospitable and kind and warm and friendly. So I hope you enjoyed this, and see you next time. If you haven't met us before, we're Gîte Guru, Frank and me, Rupert. We run our own gîtes, Le Mas and Le Mazette, and when we left our careers in Amsterdam back in 2015 to run these gîtes full-time, they became our livelihood. We had to make the business work. It wasn't always smooth sailing, but through trial, error, and plenty of learning, we've built a 32-week season and a loyal base of 60% returning guests. We started Gîte Guru to share what we've learned and to help others succeed too. So if you're looking for free tips, insights, and inspiration, head to gîteguru.com and subscribe to this Gîte podcast. For ongoing updates, behind-the-scenes posts, and relevant Gîte news, including tax changes and industry trends, follow us on Instagram at gîte.guru. And if you're after more personalized support, we offer tailor-made advice around your business, your gîte, its interiors, facilities, the services you offer, and the all-important communication and marketing. So telling the story of your gîte and making it visible to your target groups. If you're interested, get in touch for a free Zoom chat about your property, your plans, and how we could help you. And don't forget, follow us on Instagram at gîte.guru. See you there.